Today's video is brought to you by our fantastic sponsor, The Ridge. Valentine's Day is just around the corner, so why not get that special someone a unique and practical gift that they'll use every day? Ridge wallets are amazing gifts. They have a sleek, minimalist design, and they still hold 12 cards and cash. Their wallets are made from 3 different materials, and there are dozens of designs. So you can find a wallet that matches your special person's personality perfectly. A wallet is something most of us carry with us daily, so they'll be carrying an amazing keepsake that is also practical. Ridge wallets are incredibly durable, and they come with a lifetime warranty. The Ridge sells more than just awesome wallets. They also have backpacks, phone cases, knives, bottle openers, and so much more. If you check out their website, you're bound to find a cool gift that will make this a Valentine's Day they'll never forget. Or why not treat yourself to something awesome? After the year we've had, you deserve it. Right now, The Ridge is offering criminally listed viewers 10% off with free worldwide shipping and returns. Just go to ridge.com/listed, that's ridge.com/listed, and use the promo code listed at the checkout. Buy yourself or someone special the best wallet they'll ever own and help support Criminally Listed by checking out ridge.com/listed. Number 3. Joe Fletcher. In March 2015, 27-year-old Joe Fletcher of Akron, Ohio, was sentenced to 46 months in federal prison. Fletcher had previously been convicted of cocaine trafficking, and he was caught carrying a handgun in February 2014. He had pleaded guilty to carrying the handgun. After Fletcher was sentenced, Akron's police chief said, "Joe Fletcher is considered one of Akron's most dangerous individuals." Fletcher was released from prison in September 2017. But he was sent back to prison after a domestic dispute, which happened a week after he was released. On January 5, 2018, Joe Fletcher arrived at the U.S. Penitentiary in Atlanta, Georgia. The prison is also known as USP Atlanta. On January 27, 2018, a few weeks after Fletcher arrived at the prison, he posted a 49-minute long video to his personal Facebook page. It was a video conversation he had had with friends and family while he sipped on a Pepsi and ate some snacks. The video was recorded on a contraband cell phone. During the video, Fletcher bragged about having the cell phone, and he said that he could have a phone in any prison. He said that he was enjoying serving his sentence at USP Atlanta. He also said that he ran Akron, and he called himself a motivational speaker for gangsters. Fletcher talked about his plans for once he got out of prison. He was going to move to Atlanta and start a rap career. His violent past was going to be the material for his lyrics. Fletcher said, "Who done more shootings than me who's still alive?" He then specifically addressed a crime. He made a motion with his hand to symbolize firing a gun. He said, "I did it. Everybody know I did it. You know I still got love for Tay. The streets are mean like, but R.I.P. Tay. What happened is a cold game." What Fletcher was talking about was the September 2010 murder of 19-year-old Adante Smith, whose nickname was Tay. On September 26, 2010, Smith was found dead in his car, which was parked in his driveway in Akron. He had been shot once in the head. Another man who was a friend of Fletcher's named Anthony Smart, whose nickname was Champy, took responsibility for the murder. In 2011, Smart agreed to a plea deal and he pleaded guilty to voluntary manslaughter. He was sentenced to 17 years in prison. In the video, Fletcher said that he appreciated what Smart did and he planned to rap about him. He said, "If it weren't for Champy, I'd have a life sentence right now. You think I'm not about to let the world know who that man is?" After the video was posted, prison officials raided Fletcher's cell and they found 2 phones. LaDonte Smith's mother saw the video and she wanted her son's case reopened. However, it does not appear that the case was reopened. If it was, Joe Fletcher was not charged in connection with the murder. Joe Fletcher was released from federal prison in February 2019. Fletcher continued to get in trouble after being released, and once again, Facebook was involved. On June 24, 2020, Fletcher and 4 people were traveling in a car in Akron. An officer attempted to pull them over for reckless driving, and because the tint on the windows were too dark. The driver did not pull over right away. Instead, the driver sped off and then came to a stop a few blocks away. All 5 people piled out of the car and ran. Fletcher ran to a nearby swamp where he started live streaming on Facebook. On the live stream, he explained that he was hiding from the police. He said if they found him, he would act like it wasn't him who ran away from the car. In the 9-minute long video, he said he could hear the police and the K-9 units looking for him. He also apparently threatened to shoot the police officers. 26,000 people ended up watching the live stream of Fletcher hiding from the police. Fletcher also took time to respond to comments. When the police found Fletcher, he was ordered to put his hands in the air or they would release the K-9 units. Fletcher claimed he was just in the area fishing. But Fletcher ultimately surrendered and the live stream ended. Supposedly, after Fletcher was arrested, he again threatened to shoot some police officers. In the car that Fletcher ran from, the police found a loaded AK-47. Joe Fletcher was charged with handling firearms in a motor vehicle, having weapons under disability, resisting arrest, and obstructing official business. If his trial date has been set, that information has not been made public. Number 2. Michael Curry. At the start of summer 2018, 51-year-old Michael Leon Curry was living in Southern California. On June 28, 2018, Curry logged on to his Facebook and he wrote the following: "I am no angel. If I get pissed, I kill. I have never killed anyone who didn't deserve it." This posting caught the attention of the police in Bangor, Michigan because they thought it might be related to a decades-old cold case. 32 years earlier, on July 29, 1986, a woman named Rhonda had been called because her mother, 58-year-old Wanda Wilkinson, had not shown up for her shift at the local hospital. Wilkinson was a nurse's aide. She was also a wife and a mother of 6. Rhonda went over to her mother's home and found the house locked up. Her mother's car was parked in the driveway. Rhonda managed to get into her mother's home by knocking out a window screen and climbing through the window. Rhonda found her 58-year-old mother dead on a bedroom floor, and she called the police. It was determined that Wanda Wilkinson had been strangled to death. When she was killed, she was wearing a nightgown. The bottom of the nightgown had been pulled up and the top had been pulled down. Wilkinson's underwear was also missing. It was thought that her murder was the result of a home burglary gone wrong. A person of interest in the case was Michael Curry. On August 21, 1986, about a month after the murder, Curry was arrested for robbery in Bangor. He was held in the county jail while he waited trial. In January 1987, a man he shared a cell with went to the authorities. He said that Curry had confessed to him that he killed Wanda Wilkinson. He also gave the police a letter that Curry supposedly wrote. In the letter, the author confesses to the murder. so detectives decided to interview Michael Curry. Curry said that he had planned on robbing Wilkinson's house if no one was home. He knocked on the door and he was startled when Wilkinson opened the door. He ended up attacking her and strangling her with his hands. He messed with her nightgown and stole her underwear to make it look like it had been a sex crime. Curry was able to identify the color of underwear that was stolen. The detectives asked Curry if he would take a polygraph exam, and he agreed. But when he was connected to the polygraph machine, he denied committing the murder. Curry also didn't know specific details about the crime. Plus, no physical evidence connected him to the murder. So he wasn't charged in connection with the murder. 3 years later, in December 1989, Curry was arrested again because he had nearly beat his roommate to death. The day after he was arrested, the investigators who had worked on Wilkinson's case received an unsigned letter. It read, "Almost 41 months have passed, 1,233 days since that fatal, hot, humid July night." That was the correct number of days since Wilkinson had been murdered. The letter also mentioned that the underwear was missing. The police checked the letter for fingerprints and they found some. They were matched to Curry's fingerprints. But the police had the same problem they had when Curry confessed 3 years earlier. They didn't have any physical evidence that connected Curry to Wilkinson's murder. For nearly killing his roommate, in 1990, Curry was convicted of assault with intent to murder. He ended up serving 27 years in prison and he was released in 2017. After Curry was released, he moved to Southern California. Then in June 2018, Curry made the confession on his Facebook wall. 8 years earlier, in 2010, Wanda Wilkinson's daughter went to the Bangor police and asked them to investigate her mother's case. So the police reopened her case. This is why the police were monitoring his Facebook and saw his confession. In October 2018, about 5 months after Curry made the comment on Facebook, the police had Wilkinson's body exhumed for more forensic testing. Then in March 2019, Bangor detectives traveled to Southern California. They interviewed Curry and he confessed to killing Wilkinson. He also waived extradition. On March 18, 2019, 51-year-old Michael Curry was arraigned on homicide charges in Michigan and he was denied bond. Then, a couple months later, in May 2019, something shocking happened. The charges against Michael Curry were dismissed. It turned out that the police had the killer's DNA. A DNA analysis was performed and it was determined that the DNA did not belong to Curry. But they were able to connect it to another man named Robert Waite. Waite had also been a person of interest in the case. He was 16 years old at the time of the murder. 4 years after the murder, in late April 1990, Waite was living in Bonita Springs, Florida. On April 30th, 1990, he met a 29-year-old woman at a local bar and they went back to his trailer. Once there, he beat her and raped her. He then tied her up and locked her in the trunk of her car. He got in her car and started driving along the interstate, but then he got a flat tire. After he pulled over, he forced the woman to get out of the trunk and he made her get into a nearby ditch. He then tried to strangle her with some rope. She was able to break free and she ran. She managed to flag down a highway patrolman. Waite was arrested a short time later. He was eventually convicted of kidnapping and attempted murder, and he was sentenced to 20 years of prison. It's not clear when he was released, but he was out of prison in 2005. According to his criminal record, he kidnapped and assaulted someone in November 2005. The details of the crime could not be found. What is known is that he was not immediately arrested. In March 2007, Robert Waite was at a bar in DeLand, Florida. He choked out the 28-year-old bartender and he started undressing her. The woman regained consciousness and managed to escape. Waite then tried to steal money from the cash register, but the owner of the bar came in and caught him trying to get into the register. So Waite ran from the bar. He returned to the bar a couple hours later and he surrendered to the police. He was convicted of attempted sexual battery and attempted kidnapping. He was sentenced to 30 years of prison. Then in 2008, he was convicted of kidnapping and civil battery for the abduction and assault he committed in 2005. For that, he was sentenced to 20 years of prison. When the police in Bangor, Michigan connected Waite's DNA to the murder of Wanda Wilkinson, he was in prison serving his sentences. He was then extradited to Michigan. Waite told the police that he and Michael Curry committed the murder together. But the police were able to determine that Waite was lying and he only knew about Curry because he heard about Curry confessing in the news. Waite ended up agreeing to a plea deal. Since he was 16 when Wanda Wilkinson was murdered, he pleaded guilty to homicide felony murder as a juvenile. In October 2020, 50-year-old Robert Waite was sentenced to 25 to 60 years of prison. The first 13 years of Waite's sentence will be served concurrently with his sentences in Florida. He'll then be transferred to Michigan to serve out the rest of his sentence. Robert Waite is currently serving his sentences at the Wakulla Correctional Institution in Wakulla County, Florida. A big mystery is why did Michael Curry falsely confess to the murder multiple times? None of the investigators know, but they credit his social media posting with helping solve Wanda Wilkinson's murder after 34 years. Number 1. Randy Janzen. Chilliwack is a picturesque city in British Columbia's Fraser Valley. It's an ideal location for people who like outdoor activities like rock climbing, whitewater kayaking, and hiking. In 2015, the city had a population of just over 80,000. 50-year-old Randy Janzen lived in Chilliwack with his 56-year-old wife, Laurel, and their 19-year-old daughter, Emily. For many years, the family was happy. Emily was a talented singer who one day hoped to become an opera singer. Since elementary school, Emily had suffered from migraines. Then in early 2013, Emily's migraines became more frequent and more intense. They would last for days at a time. The migraines also made Emily deeply depressed. Randy and Laurel had a hard time seeing their daughter go through so much pain and misery. They occasionally wrote on their social media accounts about their troubles. For example, one day Laurel tweeted, "Watching someone I love in unbearable pain every day for 18 months and I feel helpless. Hashtag we need help." Emily also wrote about her struggles on social media. One tweet she posted reads, "Whenever I start to feel sorry for myself, I just thank God I'm still alive. I complain about all the pain, but at least I'm here to feel it." Then on May 7, 2015, at 12:19 p.m., Randy posted the following message on his Facebook page. "Over the last 10 days, I have done some of the worst things I could have ever imagined a person doing. First to do with my dear, sweet loving daughter, Emily. The best little girl two parents could have ever hoped for. She was talented and smart and filled our hearts with laughter. She was always willing to help with a smile, even when she was feeling lousy. Emily excelled at so many things, but slowly had to stop almost everything because of the migraines. But when it affected her beloved singing, it took a part of her soul. She has been very ill with migraines that have plagued her since elementary school. This has caused her to miss 2 years at UBC, which completely broke her heart. I don't think anyone really knew how much pain Emily was in on a daily basis and the severe depression that these migraines caused her. Emily watched her friends from high school move on with their lives while hers was spent wrenching into a puke tray in hours at the emergency room. Since October-November, her migraines have escalated to excruciating again, and I could just not see my little girl hurt for one more second. She had shown unimaginable strength through a lot of migraine pain over the years and always seemed to try and look on the bright side and always loved talking about things. When I get better, let's do this, let's do that. I wish, sweetheart. Emily had tried everything to get better, but nothing seemed to help her. I took a gun and shot her in the head, and now she is migraine-free and floating in the clouds on a sunny afternoon, her long brown hair flowing in the breeze, a true angel. Then I shot Laurel because a mother should never have hear the news her baby has died. Then a couple days later, my sister Shelley, because I did not want her to have to live with the shame I have caused all alone. Now my family is pain-free and in heaven. I have great remorse for my actions and feel like the dirt that I am. I am taking full responsibility for my actions of these murders. So sorry to anyone I have hurt. Rest in peace, my family. Love, Daddy-O. XOXO. Minutes after the posting was made, friends and family of Randy contacted the police. Officers immediately surrounded the family's home and a standoff ensued. Around the same time, a friend of Randy's sister, Shelley Janzen, went over to her home. Shelley lived in Langley, BC, which is about 40 miles from Chilliwack. Shelley was the opposite of her brother. She was quiet and introverted. She was a devoted member of the church that her parents helped found. She also taught Sunday school. Shelley's friend noticed that the house was dark and the mail and newspapers had not been collected for several days. So her friend went to the police station and asked them to do a welfare check. The police found Shelley's dead body under a sheet. She had been shot twice in the head. The medical examiner would later determine she had been dead for 2 days. The standoff at the home of Randy, Laurel, and Emily lasted several hours. At around 7:20 p.m., Randy Janzen was seen walking by one of the windows. Minutes later, a fire broke out at the family's home. The fire was so intense that it drove police officers back. The fire was eventually put out, but it made the structure unsafe. Investigators were not able to enter the ruins until 3 days after the fire. When they were able to enter the ruins, they retrieved 3 bodies. It appeared that Emily and Laurel had been dead for 10 days before the fire. They had both been shot twice in the head. Randy lived with the dead bodies of his wife and daughter for 8 days. He then traveled to Langley and killed his sister. 10 days after killing his wife and daughter, and 2 days after killing his sister, Randy started the fire and then shot himself once in the head with a rifle. The friends and family of the Janzens, along with the citizens of Chilliwack, were horrified by the murders. They wished that Randy had made such a drastic decision for his entire family. Thank you so much for watching today's video. A few months ago, we launched a podcast called Into the Killing. In each episode, we examine cold cases that were eventually solved. In our latest episode, we cover the Golden State Killer. Into the Killing is available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and anywhere you find great podcasts. In our next episode, we'll be covering 2 mass murders that were solved years later. So please subscribe or follow so you don't miss an episode. But once again, thanks for watching today's video. Be good to yourself and each other.